without the Bureau of Labor statistics, we're relying on a lot of informal sources to understand how the job market in that section of our economy and people's lived experience in our economy is going, is how they feel, how people are dealing with the job market, basically. And so this is a CNBC television clip from yesterday entitled ADP Tracker Now Shows Economy May Have Lost Jobs in October, which I was pretty sure we had already come to that conclusion based on those other clips, but this might be like more jobs. Breaking.
ADP out with its preliminary jobs data. I want to get straight over to Steve Leisman, who's got the details. Steve.
Yeah, not a good one. This is down 11,000. The 4-week moving average of private sector job creation
per week
in the ADP preliminary report down 11,000 on average over the 4 weeks. So that would equate to a 45,000 change of minus almost 45,000. And just to explain, first of all, in the middle of the shutdown, we're trying to bring viewers every single bit of alternative data we have. ADP is something we follow closely.
The reason I say 45 is because there are more days in a month than there are like 4 weeks. October has 31 days, not 28.
See, they've begun putting out 3 times a month, a lagging by 2 weeks. So this is for the week ending October 25th. Index of average weekly job growth over the 4-week period. That is down by 11,000. And somewhat in contrast to the month-on-month that we got last week, which was plus 42,000. So it does suggest some weakening as the month of October went on compared to what they had from September to October. Remember, this is a weekly index that comes out 3 times a month. And it's just really looking for what is the right level of job growth here. Separately, guys, the NFIB came out with their small business.
What is the right level? Well, I guess I don't know what the exact right level, but positive would be good. Positive would be good, right? Like, so, the magnitude by which it would be need to be positive to make up for how negative it's been is a different question. But like, certainly, like, we could agree positive would be better than like negative month over month, right?
Separately, guys, the NFIB came out with their small business optimism index. It fell 0.6 to 98.2. Still,
the optimism index fell
the lowest since April.
That still seems pretty high. I guess I don't know what the optimism index is like, what the metrics are for this, but like, I mean, that still seems pretty high. I can't help but think like it's high because it's close to 100.
Plans to increase hiring fell by 1 point to 15%. Plans to invest, that's up pretty good. I wonder if small businesses figuring out they have this new expensing up. That was up 2 points. But here's the interesting move here. Trouble with labor quality up by 9 points. We've never seen anything like that. That's 27%. That's the highest since the pandemic. Unfilled job openings were unchanged, the lowest since the pandemic. So we have this very funny dynamic down here where they're not really hiring, but they can't find the people they want. Oliver Allen.
But doesn't that kind of indicate these are like not real job openings, right? Like, if the number of job openings, because there's one way to look at this, like, people are hiring but they're still in need of more employees. But it seems as though that would fly in the face of the negative job growth numbers. So it does seem as though a lot of these unfilled job openings are just like we've talked about, like ghost jobs. Like, they're openings that are there to project strength or something else that the company wants you to, believe about them, or just to do market research on the quality, which they're saying is low, of labor. And I wonder if that's like labor quality in general, or if it's the quality of like applications, because I would believe that's a result of AI, like the prevalence of AI applications. But the fact that the unfilled job openings are at 32% and they aren't changing at all, but the amount of jobs people have seem to be going down, kind of indicates that these job openings aren't like real. But there are other explanations. That's just the first thing that I think, based on like all the other information that we have, that like it's not because the job opening level is stable, because that wouldn't really make much sense. It's that like, people just actually aren't hiring and they just keep re-upping the same job openings, more or less. The majority of them. Like, there might be some percentage of this that is real, but it would indicate that the bulk of it is like artificial in one way or another, for one reason or another, I should say.
dynamic down here where they're not really hiring, but they can't find the people they want. Oliver Allen at Pantheon says the numbers bear watching and could indicate trouble at some businesses finding workers due to the new immigration and deportation policies.
Oh, another Trump thing.
Other parts of the job market remain okay. Overall, guys, the data consistent with low hire economy that we're finding in all this alternative data now. Guys?
Okay. Steve, when do you think we're actually going to get some real numbers, by the way? I mean, I don't want to say that these are not real numbers. When do you think we're going to be able to compare all of this?
The real bad numbers.
What might be described as the government numbers?
Well, I mean, considering that Trump had such a problem with the negative real numbers, which, negative numbers are real numbers. They're not imaginary numbers. That he had such a problem with those numbers that last Bureau of Labor Statistics chief gave, that they fired her or she had to resign or something, and then they were replaced with somebody, and then the government shut down, so we never got any real numbers from them, or fake official numbers, I should say. Real or fake official numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics is more accurate. But I would imagine it would be more or less in line. Like, I would be more, I still like to say, I'd be more inclined to believe, and maybe this makes me a cynic, the negative numbers that are coming from every other informal source that has less of a reason to lie to the magnitude that the White House does, and has given me less reason recently to distrust them based on like their firing or like insinuating or causing the firing of somebody because they didn't like the numbers. Also because all the other data seems to reflect this reality. So like, I mean, we don't know exactly what is happening with the jobs because there isn't one like official unified source telling us, but the official unified source has been corrupted, and it doesn't really matter because all signs point to like negative. A lot of things are negative happening with the job market.
So we will hopefully, when the shutdown ends, it'll be several days. They should be able to give us the September report. Whether or not, and that's jobs, whether or not they
Infinity
probably have
jobs
CPI from that. I'm guessing they gathered the data in the month of September before the shutdown. So we might get a September inflation and jobs report several days after the shutdown ends. October may end up being a black hole. I don't know if they either were able to collect the data or they can go back and get the data in the past. I don't know if that's the case. If the shutdown ends, just double checking what day we are today, it's the 11th. Tomorrow, this is the week of the reference period. They should be able, if they can come back in the next several days, to cobble together a November jobs report for December, as well as gather the CPI data. Yeah, so it'll still be a little bit, Andrew, is the answer.
The old numbers, though, or the numbers that we're waiting for, A, are going to be outdated, and B, in some cases, the way they pull these numbers, they ask people to remember what they were doing 8 weeks ago or something. It seems like these numbers will be suspect. Not to mention, I don't know how the jobs report will look at any of the government employees who weren't working during that period. I don't know how that counted it. It feels like you're going to get a bunch of kind of garbagey numbers.
Yeah,
for a while.
They were so
yeah,
accurate and not subject to revision before the government shut down. I like calling them the real numbers. That's a real stretch. Maybe we should call them the government numbers.
Well,
it's the best we.
Yeah, see, even they get on CNBC.
Just to be clear, Joe, Andrew asked me when we get the numbers. He didn't ask me when we get either the accurate numbers or the contemporary numbers.
The real, no, but I was kidding.
The Trump numbers.
The real numbers.
Trump
we need
numbers.
Quotation mark. We need real,
Well, that's going to be the issue.
You know, here's the thing. You know, you're sitting there playing your 8-track cassette, and somebody comes along with a cassette tape, and that's a little better. And then somebody comes along with a CD, and somebody, we may end up in post this shutdown feeling like some of this alternative data is giving us a better feel on a contemporary basis. We may advance technologically here with some of this data. And that's why I think Andrew's question was important, because what we want to know now, the government is the ultimate final arbiter of what actually happened over a period of time. So we're going to go back and
Not
we'll
this
spend
government.
some time doing
Hell no.
regressions and weird stuff that economists do. And they're going to sort of see, well, which ones did the best job of telling us what was going on at the time? Did they even come close to keeping the idea? I kind of think of the alternative data keeping us within the guardrails of the road, but perhaps not in the right lane. I think the feeling at the Fed was, hey, all this alternative data is at least telling us that the job market is not falling off a cliff. It's telling us that CPI is not surging, but it remains high.
Is that what those numbers tell us?
On some of the data, the September data, they have that data, so they don't have to go back and ask people what happened.
Right.
It's the October stuff that
The
I think
October
you're
numbers are
mentioning.
Yeah.
If they
Kumar.
try to do that and go back and try to recreate the October numbers.
Right. We'll see. Maybe you're right. Maybe we'll
Yeah. What else you say there? We'll see. Yeah, sure. Well, that all sounds plausible, I suppose. It could happen.
I definitely am not going to let it go. I'm going to hold on to it for a while, and see how it helps us get a jump on this. This preliminary ADP data could be helpful.
Shit, I could be a CNBC host.
We have this.
Put me in the game, coach. I'm ready.
CNBC.com/alt data, where we show people all the data that we've been looking at, 10 or 11 or 12. It's harder. I'll tell you that. It's harder, but it's maybe more fruitful in terms of knowing what's going on with the economy on a contemporary basis.
Great. Sure. Oh, wow. Is it already that time? Is it already that time of the day? And by that, I mean noon p.m. Eastern. We just never get to all the things that I have planned. I don't know what to do about that. Well, I think it's better. It's better to come prepared and have some stuff left over for the next stream than it is to, be forced to fill air with just the sound of my voice. But let's do a few chats and then we'll get out of here. I'll let you all get to your next show on time. I want to make sure I'm letting you all get up and get a drink, stretch your legs before your next class. I don't want to be that guy who makes you feel like you're missing out on the good bits. So let me get everything ready. Let's do some chats. Are you hosting MR today with Emma out, Brandon? I don't think I could do that. I could never replace Emma or Sam. It's just a whole different vibe. I like to think, although I've watched the Majority Report so much, I definitely think I could. If you put me in the seat, I could go into a fugue state. But I think it would be a bad thing because there'd be times where you would catch me it's almost like doing a Sam impression. Not replace, just host. Well, I have my own predilections that make it not great to put me in charge of your brand. I'm still working on that dark money. I'm still working on it. They don't want to give it to me. They don't want to give it to me because of all the caveats I put on it. But I'm still willing to take it. I would just heavily recommend just sending it to me without telling me who it's from, because it will definitely make me say negative things about you just because they'll be on my mind. Try and ad read, Brandon. I don't like things. I'm not really selling myself. Because this show relies on viewers like you